Good evening and welcome to a new edition of A Daily Debate. This evening with us is a very, very distinguished panel that will shed light on the major outcomes of 2016 and maybe more importantly, what are we forecasting for 2017. With us this evening is a distinguished lady who has always given us a lot of pleasure in 2016 with her optimistic outlook. With us this evening is Dr. Fahmy, member of the Egyptian Parliament. A pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
With us also this evening is a very, very dear person to me, and he has always had not only an optimistic outlook, but even when there is a tad of pessimism, it's usually followed with a lot of logic and a lot of lessons learned. With us this evening is Mr. Nabil Zaki, a veteran journalist. A pleasure to have you with us.
Welcome.
As I was saying before we started the show, the good thing about tonight is that I have very optimistic, down-to-earth, and more importantly, visionary people. And at a time when Egypt is going through a lot of difficult times, and it's not just Egypt, but the world at large, it's good to constructively criticize and also offer solutions. And maybe this is one of the things that I am happy with this evening, is that my panel, you criticize, but you also offer the constructive solution. And I know you want to start on a good note, but maybe lessons have to be learned from mistakes. And maybe I will start with Dr. Pachinte. What are the major economic blunders in 2016, from your point of view? And not only in Egypt, but maybe we would start with Egypt and the world at large. What would you say a missed opportunity in 2016?
Not a missed opportunity, but many people in the world couldn't read carefully and clearly what is happening worldwide.
Yes.
And that's why many people are shocked, and many people they feel unbalanced. Many people feel that they're lost, with all my respect for the world. But it was a tough year because, in my personal opinion, it was not read carefully and clearly and honestly. It's good to have hopes, but you need to read it carefully. Most of the people, not only in Egypt and in the region, in the world, look at the world, even in the American election, many people couldn't read it carefully, honestly. You see what I mean?
Yes.
So I think 2017, this was the major image, in my personal opinion. If you look worldwide, everybody did not have a clear vision. I don't know why, but it's global.
When you say a clear vision, a clear vision with regards to what?
To everything. Everybody assumed that Hillary Clinton will be the coming president. Didn't happen. Everybody assumed that Europe, after the United Kingdom, for instance, exited, will be different. Many problems in Europe. Everybody thought that what was going on in Syria, Iraq, and Libya will solve the problem. It aggravated it. Yes. You see what I mean? We kept on fighting locally. Yes, we were fighting terrorism, and we are still. But again, we need a clearer vision. Where are we heading? Because where is the world heading? This is something I think was not a success in 2016.
So if I was to sum up and put a headline to what you're saying, then basically the world miscalculated.
Everybody. The whole world.
Yeah, the world miscalculated.
Yes. Everybody. I think not only miscalculated, they had too many hopes. So, you know, when we say wishful thinking, they were denying what they were seeing. Nobody could have believed that the whole world will be in the situation we're in. No exception to the rule. Take from the United States to China, passing by Europe, the Middle East, Africa, you name it. It was a terrible year. And it was all miscalculation.
Okay, Mr. Nabil Zaki.
Yeah.
Missed opportunities.
I think that the world in the year 2016 was too bad. misfortunes for the peoples. Let us take our region as an example. Full of bloodshed, terrorism, killings, fanaticism, fundamentalism, denying the other. So, what is the outcome? About 250,000 of Syrians killed, more than 3-4 million refugees and migrants. The same in Iraq, the same in Libya. At the same time, you can notice that some Arab countries are in a state of collapse or on the brink of collapse. 3-4 countries at least. Second, in the world domain, because of terrorism, because of radical religious people, and because of the wars in the region, do you know what is the number now of refugees and migrants in the world, whole world? More than 60 million, 64.
64 million refugees.
Yes, refugees and migrants. Second.
Can I just ask you something? Because when we say 64, 2015, the figure was around how much? I mean, when you say 64,
this is the total number now, since in the last year, still now, this number. At the same time, those displaced, what do they find? They are not welcomed in other countries. More than that, the Europeans and the Americans feel that they are a threat to their security. And that's horrible. That our people from the Middle East or from Arab or Muslim countries now became a threat in the eyes of other peoples in the world. Second, still the world is not in good shape. How? The Americans spend more than 800 billions of dollars in arming themselves. $1 trillion to modernize the nuclear arsenal. 1 trillion. Second, or third, 800 innocent people were killed by the American drones in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Yemen, Libya, so on. So 800. According to the American confessions, they admitted that 800 were killed by mistake. Imagine. This is our world. More than that, mistake. You have now in the world, still, after decades of the end of the Cold War, 800 American military bases in the whole world. Still there is an American army in Afghanistan. And now 5,000 American soldiers in Iraq. And the Americans, it was declared officially by President Obama that he will arm the terrorists in Syria by missiles.
Obama is leaving.
But he wanted to do
this final job before he left.
Yeah, and to sabotage what may Donald Trump think when he enters the White House. So that's why I tell you, frankly speaking, that the world is not in good shape. We are suffering from still hungry people in Africa, disasters here and there, no attention to scientific researches, no attention to improve the standard of living of the peoples in general, because the arms race started to be active again. And now, more than that, the Americans, if you follow what took place during the presidential campaign in the United States, now the people who were supporting Hillary Clinton were declaring openly a new nuclear war against Russia. Imagine. So what? They are mad people. We are living in a mad world.
Dr. Pachinte, you said the world miscalculated. Can we say that at the beginning of 2017, taking into account the amount of problems that we're facing, I mean, as Mr. Nabil was saying, 64 million refugees only this year. Yeah, this is the count of this year. The 64 million refugees, this is a problem that is hitting the world at large, and some are even dissatisfied and considering it a security hazard. Will that make us reconsider how much we are spending on armaments, how much we are spending in supporting and funding terrorist groups, how much we are depriving ourselves of food when we are on the threshold of a serious world food crisis? And I'm saying world food crisis because it's not only in Egypt or Yemen.
Worldwide.
It's worldwide. Will we reconsider our strategy?
Yes, I think the whole world now have discovered that this strategy, which has been there since years, starting from Vietnam, Afghanistan, and you name it, up till now, under the umbrella of fighting terrorism, discovered that this game is touching everybody, meaning the world is too small, problems are all over, meaning we say the Middle East, and what about Europe? Even in the United States, look at the accident which happened. So I think the results of that game, and that's why President Trump has a different opinion. I think the result of that very long game was not a success. And because of the world is too small, it is almost touching everybody and everywhere. And if it's going to be aggravated further, I think it will go out of control. So I do not think that this strategy will continue further. In my personal opinion, watching what is being said, what is being heard, what everybody is suffering, they cannot tolerate more refugees, as Mr. Zaki is saying. The world is too small, we're too close to each other, and aggravating the situation further could lead to something nobody wants to see, which could be a very big war. So, especially on when you have the nuclear weapon. So I think, in my personal opinion and in my personal view, it will not continue. They will find ways to calm down a little bit. Because any aggravation, there will not be exception to any country on earth. That's one part. The second part, which is very serious, as you mentioned, the economic situation and the food stability. If we continue
which
like
is a
this,
lifeline.
Oh yes, oh yes. If you continue like this, you're going to be faced with a very terrible and drastic food problem. No matter what you're going to do, you cannot develop agriculture and other products while wars are left and right. Moreover, the economic situation as well, look at the whole world, it's not stable. It's not because the United States is a big country that the whole world could be disregarded. They cannot live alone as well. So I think, in my personal opinion, because of the so many long years of wrong and miscalculation ended in 2017 by a very big move. I consider the election of President Trump a very big move in the United States.
And you think the strategy, the foreign policy of the United States will change?
I think so. Not because he came, because those are institutions, and the United States is managed by big institutions. But on the other side, when we even look in the United States, it's not like before. United States was a very safe, and you take an aeroplane like you take a taxi anywhere. It's not like that anymore. You not search anywhere. Now you search everywhere. You
The whole world is not safe
The whole
anymore.
world is not safe. So what is the fun? I mean, the United States was always saying this is a very safe place, and you live in freedom, and everybody do whatever you want, and your dream, and so on and so forth. Well, this doesn't exist anymore. So I think after 2017 was a very heavy year. 16 was a very heavy year for everybody. So I think, and the result of electing Trump, President Trump, I think a new vision will be there for the whole world, not only by the United States, but because you're heading nowhere. What are we going to do? We're going to continue fighting like this? More immigrants, more war left and right, planes are collapsing every day and nobody knows why. And I mean, you hear the problems every day. So I think, in my personal opinion, I think, and because of the food situation as well, it should go more, a new strategy of a bit stability should be there.
Who will be the winning parties in 2017, as far as you're concerned?
If you take a look to what happened in this year, 16, you can conclude what will take place in the next year, in the new year. First of all, we have three major events in this 2016. First, the election of Donald Trump. Second, Brexit. Britain went out from the European Union. Third, the Russian rule in Syria, which I consider the beginning of a new multipolar world for the first time since years. That is why, since you expect me to be optimist, I'll tell you why I am optimist in spite of all what I said before. First, this year, 2016, witnessed the liberation of Aleppo. And it's a real major event.
Yes.
Changed the balances there. More than that, in the region, not only in Syria. Second, the liberation of Sirte in Libya, liberated from terrorists. Third, the ongoing battle in Mosul against the terrorists, and they will succeed to liberate it within a month or two. That's what we expect. After that, I believe that I agree completely with Dr. Pachinte said concerning Trump. Now we have a new president in the United States. Of course, I don't agree with all what he said or his promises or views, but if you are thinking in a strategic way, you will conclude that there is a main point in his way of thinking. To cooperate with Russia against terrorism. That's what we want in Egypt. This cooperation will be used for beneficial to the whole world. Because now, what is Obama doing in Syria? Because he doesn't want the Russians to succeed, he is sabotaging everything they try to do.
Well, he's paying them farewell.
Yeah. Fortunately. So I believe that when Trump will enter the White House, there will be a real new policy, especially because he considers that the priority, and that's true, is to combat terrorism. Second, why to have a Cold War with Russia? Why we don't?
Can the United States afford, and I'm repeating, can the United States afford the wars now?
The what?
The wars it has launched left and right.
The wars, no.
Can it afford to play that game?
No.
Because what I sense from what Trump was saying is that the bill has been very high. The average American taxpayer footed a very large bill.
That's why the voters in the United States, with the slogan, America First.
Yes.
America First. Why? Because they don't want the United States to involve itself in the whole world like that. 800 military bases. Why? Are the United States facing a threat from any other country? No. There is no Soviet Union. There is no Warsaw Pact. Finished. So what? What's the problem? The problem is that some monopolies in the United States, I mean those who are manufacturing
arms,
weapons, arms, like Lockheed Martin, for example, they are those who gain profits, huge, fantastic profits.
Well, it's never too late to change the line of business.
For example, when the countries of Eastern Europe joined NATO, they decided to modernize their arms. So they bought from Martin Lockheed arms with more than $500 million. That's it. That's what those people, and that's why Donald Trump will not face an easy job. They will try to make, yes, obstacles in his way, and they will try to hinder him from fulfilling his promises.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Dr. Pachinte, who, in your point of view, will come out in 2017 as the economic winner?
2017 will be difficult for everybody. If you're talking about the whole world, I still believe that the United States is the strongest, no matter what they say.
Their economy is the strongest?
Oh, yes, definitely. Okay. The strongest, the largest, and they dominate directly and indirectly very large portions of economic activities worldwide. I mean, look at their investments all over, in China even. It's true that some withdrew, but they have big investments in China, in Europe, in the Middle East, wherever you go. So I think the United States is too big. I always say too big to fail until now. So I think, yes, they will dominate. If you look at our region, let's go back to Egypt. I think Egypt will be the winner.
Despite the difficulties and the war that is being launched against us.
Yes, despite all difficulties we're talking about. But I think the philosophy, the new philosophy of the United States will help us as well in achieving, if they want to fight terrorism, this is our major enemy. So if they fight terrorism in our part of the world, we definitely gonna be the winner. Definitely we have large plans for economic reforms, and it's true that we are seeing every now and then, every few months, a big project like what we saw this morning. I think we are on the right track.
When are we going to reap the benefits? Because the average layman is quite concerned and worried about the inflation and the investment opportunities. Of course, whenever we have any terrorist act, people are concerned about potential investors and tourism, which is a bread and butter for us. These are all weapons that we're being fought with. When are we going to see a bright light?
I think between 1 to 3 years. It's going to be very different, because the strategy now, in my personal opinion, is a positive strategy. There's a strategy whereby you concentrate on ensuring that you will have your own food, at least the necessities. And we saw the big project of land reclamation and what is being produced on industries. We see as well, this morning, we saw what has been inaugurated in fishing farms, and we see the infrastructure, which is the base for any moving economy. So I think we are on the right track, but we need to be a little bit patient for food stability. We in the parliament as well, in the economic group section, we are working on designing a strategy for food security for Egypt, so that between 3 to 5 years, we will not, and I repeat, will not need to import any necessity, and on the other hand, we might be exporting. So if you want to ask me about a very short period, how the people will really feel it, between 1 to 3 years. 5 years, in my personal opinion, if the policy in the Middle East and if Trump will really fight terrorism and they're going to stop that, I think 3 to 5 years, Egypt could have really a U-turn.
So basically, the good note is that even though, unfortunately, over the past years, we have turned into a very import-oriented country, especially in strategic food commodities.
This is the most, strategic food commodities.
The Parliament is proposing a 5-year plan so that we would be self-sufficient.
We are working on a on a strategy. In between 3 to 5 years, we'll be self-sufficient and exporting. This is
major or strategic food commodities.
Strategic food commodities. All what we need. Vegetable, fruits.
Well, I'm not talking about caviar. I'm talking about the major commodities.
You need, and you can export as well. This is the strategy we want to realize, because we believe that it's very good to have a strong army, but if you don't have a solid base for social stability, especially food,
definitely
you cannot survive.
Okay, we have around.
Why am I optimistic? Because I think our major obstacle is terrorism. And if the United States, the biggest country on earth, is serious about fighting terrorism together with Russia and others, I think for us, we will have no obstacle.
Okay, we have around 15 minutes left, and I would like to ask you to please keep your answers to 2 minutes, because I need to touch on a lot of files. And maybe I'll take from what Dr. Pachinte was saying. Usually large fish don't allow small ones to survive. History repeats itself. If we study Egyptian history, we lived through periods whereby we were very self-sufficient in different phases in our old history. Yeah. Will we be allowed to achieve this again?
If we preserve our independent policy. Because I believe still now that maybe sometimes we listen to some experts from abroad, especially in the economic field. I consider that, of course, we have major, huge national projects, and everybody must agree and be enthusiastic about that. But concerning floating the pound, to lessen the subsidies in petroleum products, and to introduce the so-called added value-added tax,
VAT, yes.
It's a real problem, because everywhere I go, not only the poor people, but those in the middle class are complaining because they are suffering.
Actually, the brunt is more on the middle class, because the lower classes are subsidized.
I hope that the government in the new year will pay attention to those people, because what is the result of this floating of the pound? If you have 100 pounds in your pocket, it means that they became 50. That's what happened. And the government did not compensate you, didn't help you to face this problem. I think that we have to pay attention in the next year, and I think that this problem must be solved.
Dr. Pachinte, any investor, when he looks at a country, he is concerned whether there are two values to the currency. We've taken actually huge strides to combating the black market, and I know that there is no such thing as 100% eradication. But even though the gap had narrowed, it seems it is extending again. Will we be able in 2017 to really put an end, somewhat, to the black market?
Yes, and let me tell you why I said yes.
You're saying it with confidence.
Yes. Look at the statistics. This month, for instance, the level of our import decreased by $7 billion, whereby export had increased, you see? So we're working on both sides. You try to minimize as much as possible what you import from outside, even if it is going to touch some brackets of the economy. And I think it was a success, because the dollar has gone up. So, like we were discussing before we entered, goods became too expensive to buy. So, in a way,
the purchasing power of people,
definitely.
People are now thinking in a different way.
You see,
Yes.
when you buy something, you think twice, and sometimes maybe three
We buy
times.
by piece,
Exactly.
not
And
by
sometimes-
kilo.
Yeah, and sometimes you say, maybe we don't need to do this.
Yes, definitely our purchasing pattern has changed.
Definitely. So, and it's going to change further. And
Okay.
hopefully, when our industry will move, hopefully, our appetite will turn towards our local market, especially our products. Because having a cheap currency destroyed our economy. Whenever you start to do anything, you want to do ongoing land reclamation, you say, why do we do this? We import is cheaper. Fishing, why do we do this? We import cheap.
Definitely.
So it was a strategy in the country, and it was a catastrophic
And it
strategy.
killed the production.
It killed everything.
Yes.
It killed even the ambition. People, Egyptian became assured that they cannot do anything.
Consumer-oriented culture.
Exactly. The second thing, and which is a very major important point, we have spent 60 years of our time subsidizing consumption. High time now to subsidize production.
Yes.
You want to produce, I will subsidize you. You want to eat, I will not subsidize you. Except, of course, the modest class. Of course, the modest class have to be protected because you have to have social stability. And if you don't protect that level, you could face an instability, and that's why your industry, your agriculture, your economy could be turned off. So I think we are on the right track. And I think that what the decisions made, it's true they were very tough on people, and it will continue to be tough for a while. But I guess we did not have another option to solve, honestly.
I'll throw another question, and that is, I'm not going to talk about Arab-Arab relations because indeed we have certain difficulties with certain neighbors, and then we reconcile ourselves, and the problem is the outside that meddle and cause some rifts. But there is a question that I would have to ask, and that is the Arab-Qatar reconciliation. Will there be a reconciliation in 2017?
No, I don't expect that. Because Qatar is insisting upon its anti-Egypt policy till this moment. And if you are serious as a member in the Arab League, you have to propose tomorrow or today to expel this country from the membership of the Arab League. Why? If you read the charter of the Arab League, Qatar is behaving against the charter. For example, the foreign minister of Qatar recently made a press conference for the foreign American British correspondents and said, if the United States stop providing the militants in Syria, of course he means the terrorists, with missiles, I, Qatar, will provide them. And Bashar al-Assad must go. According to the charter of the Arab League, you are prevented as a country, prohibited from interfering in the internal affairs of other countries.
So why is Qatar still a member of the Arab League?
That's the question. I think that till now, the Arab League is not behaving in a correct way, frankly speaking. Second, now if you are encouraging or trying to push Western countries to interfere in an Arab country, it's a real crime, a real crime. And it takes place at the same time. Donald Trump used to say in his declaration, recent declarations, I will not interfere in the internal affairs of other states. And Qatar is interfering. Imagine, the United States, this big country, promised not to interfere, insists to interfere. And where? In our brother countries.
So you
Arab
don't
countries.
think there will be a reconciliation
No.
in 2017?
Never. And I believe that we have to pay for our independent policy because Qatar and other Arab countries in the Gulf, maybe they imagine that they can lead Egypt to follow a certain policy. in Libya or in Syria or in Yemen. Egypt didn't accept that. For example, in Yemen, we have our presence in Bab el-Mandab only. In Syria, we are with the establishment, the Syrian official establishment,
Yes.
with the integrity of all the territories.
We're
of
respecting
Syria.
the sovereignty of the country.
That's it. That's it. In Libya, we are supporting the national army. That's the Egyptian policy. And I believe that is a real success for us. So I think that Egypt will never permit any other country to try to change our policy or our agenda in this region, because we gained our credibility by following this policy, and we will never change it.
Dr. Pachinte, 2017, will it see more fruitful economic cooperation, Arab-Arab economic cooperation? Because it's not only, the issue is not only Egypt becoming self-sufficient, but Egypt, the Arab world has been, it's the pioneer in the concept of an Arab common market. We have cultural commonality, we have language commonality, yet we are very much apart economically. Will we reconcile ourselves economically in 2017?
The Arab world has a lot of problems. And I think they will be facing tough times. I would love to see Egypt open to the whole world. The world has changed. It's not a matter of being Arab or African. I mean, you deal with everybody.
It's a global world, definitely.
Yeah. So I repeat, they have their own problems. They should sit down and watch carefully. Because I think they entered wars, and in my personal opinion, again, this were one of the miscalculations. Entering a war is not a joke. So, and they cannot get out of it, and they want us to do it. No. So I think I'm not depending on Arab in being very frank. I really want investments to come from, I want to have transfer of technology, and I think this doesn't come from the Arab world. I want transfer of foreign currency, large investments, and I don't think this could come from the Arab world. And
It's obviously it's not coming.
Definitely. And even if they come, they bring with them, again, Americans and Europeans. So why having someone in the middle? We could go straight. And I think Egypt enjoys a very well-diversified economy. Our policy is clear. We want stability. We want to develop our country. We're very well positioned when it comes geographically. With the entrance to Africa ever since, I will not continue on repeating our strengths and strong points. But I do not believe that our development will be related to the Arab world. I think our development is much better if we really head towards the very advanced countries, which they have both. They have the technology and they have as well the finance, and we have our wealth. So I hope that 2017 will be a start of an open policy towards the whole world. And if I may repeat, Mr. President, ever since he was elected, he did not miss any country on earth to visit, from the smallest one to the largest one.
Yes.
And from the other side, when we had our Sharm el-Sheikh conference, the whole world came to Egypt, with no exception. So I think we're open to everybody. I think I'm optimistic with Trump, who has an economic view on the world. So let's hope a better year to start with in 2017, inshallah.
Gentlemen and lady, we have 4 minutes left, and I will give each one of you 2 minutes to address a message to the youth. 2016, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi really concentrated on the youth, which is really the future of the country. And maybe I would like to ask you about how can we nourish the brains of our future, because it's quite saddening what happened in the St. Peter's Church when a 22-year-old young man walks inside the church, killing himself and others, thinking that somehow he is serving God. And unfortunately, this scenario is repeated on and on. How can we use the energy of our youth in a constructive fashion?
First of all, we have, as I told you before, we have to make a real revolution.
2 minutes.
In education,
Okay.
in mass media, culture, religious discourse. At the same time, we have to learn, tell our young people that they must take lessons from those whom we lost in the year 2016. I mean, Mohammed Hassanin Hekel, Dr. Ahmed Zouel, Dr. Boutros Ghali, Farouk Shusha, Dr. Yahya Gamal, even the artists, Ahmed Ratib, Zubaydah Sarwat. They were prominent in their professions.
Yes.
We have to learn from them, to be like them, to be leaders to our country, to be more aware of what is going on in our country, how to solve our problems, and what's going on in the world, and how to solve the problems of the whole world.
Dr. Pachinte.
Helping the young generation to find ways to work, to build their future, to look at a better future. I think they will have no time to think about what they were doing. What they were doing because they lost hope on earth. So they thought they're going to go to heavens and find all what they want. That's why I tend to feel that the 200 billion pounds were allocated to be given to the young generation, the land reclamations, help them develop their own life, live in a better state, getting better houses outside of the crowded area. If you solve that type of problems, you will give them hope to the future. And that's why I think they will not have time to give their mind and their ears to somebody else to keep on giving them.
If they're busy.
If they're busy and if they're looking at a better future.
Is the parliament working on this?
Yes.
Because it's not only the president and the government.
Definitely, we are working on this as well. And this is a very important part. Even when last month we had invited some of young people, they invited them to the parliament, they came, they attended some sessions, we explained to them how this is working. They were very happy. You know, when you involve them and when you show them how can we develop the future together, but when they are desperate, when they don't feel a hope, when they find that everything is difficult, they lose hope. So I think giving them the chance to develop, involving them, and building a better future for them, they will not have time to listen to anybody. But if you leave them like this, they're victims.
Okay, before I wrap up, I'm getting a lot of messages about the value of the dollar, predictions, the concern of people.
The value of the dollar is related to the growth of our GDP. If we work and grow our GDP and develop, be sufficient export, the value of the pound will become stronger. The value of a currency is not increasing and decreasing by a decree or by a law. It is done by hard work. So if we work hard and we accomplish the plan we want, automatically you will stop importing or at least rationalize. You will export, your currency will become better and life will be much better.
So if I take from what we said so far, that means we have around 3 years before our dollar, our value stabilizes. Dr. Pachinte, Mr. Nabil, thank you very much for joining us. As usual, a pleasure, and we would like to wish you a very, very happy New Year.
Happy New Year and Merry Christmas to everybody.
Thank you very much, and definitely there is light at the end of the tunnel, no matter how much it seems difficult at this juncture. I'd like to wish you, the viewers, a very happy New Year and a Merry Christmas, and good night.